All right. So today I'm going to be helping out David. David was not supposed to be on this call. So I'm just a tiny bit nervous of doing this. It's been a minute. We used to do these calls for I think almost 2 years or a year and a half is that we did it. And we're trying to implement these again. A lot of people have been asking about them. So hoping that as we continue to do them, that they become a little bit more relevant for more people and more people hop on. But nonetheless, I'm grateful for you guys that are showing up here. Just so you guys know, my name is Jennyffer Kurz. I am the Chief Operating Officer of the Freedom Organization. And to give you a little bit background for me, I've been in the industry for 11 years. I was also a mortgage loan officer for 3 years. If I had to choose one versus the other, I prefer being a realtor. And uh, we had the brokerage, Kurz Real Estate. David and I have been together for nearly about as long as I've had my license, and I played an intricate part in the growth of Kurz Real Estate. I also ran a few teams, and now we're doing this. Now we're really focused on growing the Freedom Organization, training and developing real estate agents to be successful and other business owners as well. So today being a freedom call, you guys may or may not know, but every time we did a freedom call, we had to call it a freedom day. So on the chat, I like to interact with everybody, and whoever is on here, just right, it's a freedom day. Let's get excited. Let's get excited for today. There's only 4 of us, so let's get excited right now. Well, actually, how many are we right now? It's a freedom day, Jenny. Thank you. It's a freedom day, Dave. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you guys for your support. It's a freedom day. And we start with that because as a freedom organization, what we focus on is your freedom. We want you to develop whatever your freedom is in different levels, whether it is in your business or for your family or financial, whatever the case may be, we like to aim for your freedom. So today, specifically, we want to talk about habits, and habits have a big part of what your freedom could be in the future, and what your daily lives are on a regular basis. And I created very quickly a presentation for you guys, and it's something very simple. It's something for me to kind of keep track, and also give you some visuals so that you guys can follow. So I'm going to share my screen real quick. If I can, there we go. All right, can you guys see my screen?
There you go. Yep.
Yeah, you can see it. I'm just being a mess right now because I'm trying to figure this out. Okay, can you still see it?
Yeah. You just press percent. There you go.
Okay, this thing is in the way. Okay. There we go. Okay, so let's go back real quick. So creating successful habits. Habits, as I mentioned, are an intricate part of our daily lives. Everything we do is based on a habit. When we drive, it's based on a habit. Sometimes we can drive somewhere and not even realize that we're getting to that location, or that we made a turn or whatever, because we've already become so accustomed to that drive that it's just automatic for us. And what we want to do is that for our business and for our lives, we want to create successful habits. So I want to discuss this a little bit with you guys. So we'll talk about what is a habit, how to start a habit, the obstacles, and breaking bad habits. Okay, what is a habit? A habit is a settled or regular tendency or practice, especially one that is hard to give up. Okay, so as I mentioned, I like to interact with you guys. So I'm gonna try to figure this out real quick. Oh, I just lost you. So I want to talk to you guys about the habits, but I want to see what you guys have to say as well. So, Michael, can you help me out here? What do I do? How do
Um,
I? get the chat up.
While you have the presentation on, it's hard. Yeah, while you
Yeah.
have the presentation running, it's hard to have the chat up. So
Okay, so
you have to
David, I'm gonna
open the
need you.
chat to a different screen.
Gotcha. All right. I guess I'm not gonna be able to interact with you guys through chat. So I'm gonna need you guys to unmute to help me out here. So anyway, let's go back to the presentation. You see everything that I'm putting on the screen? Like you also see this? The
Yeah.
Zoom at the bottom?
No, just the presentation.
Okay. Okay, there we are. So, all right, the purpose of setting habits is going to be to create or maintain progress in your life, health, or business. So I want you guys to take a moment and think about the habits that you guys are, you guys have right now for your business. A lot of the habits that we create in our business usually include making phone calls. If you have good habits, you'll set up phone calls in a specific time frame in order for you to be a little bit more productive. Going to the gym would be another habit. Setting up appointments and scheduling out certain appointments for your day as well. The types of habits in your business would include preventative, of the mind, social and communication, eating, productivity, and unwanted habits. So, because I can't see the chat right now, can somebody elaborate on what kind of preventative habit can you implement within your business? I can't see it. Anyone?
I guess I'll go. Obviously in the business, right? Not in our personal life.
You can add personal if you want. I mean, I will say that a lot of your personal habits do impact your business as well.
Yes, I agree. So, I mean, a habit that I've been slacking. The summer has been hard. I am not gonna lie. It's so hard with the kids home or whatever. It just kind of throws
I
me
get
off.
it.
I mean, I think the morning habits are so important to be able to set the rest of your day. I love to start my day doing like a daily devotional, a prayer, like that kind of sets, for me, it's super important. And also if I could get a workout in before, that would be great. And then for the business, I like to set some time to interact with people on Instagram to try to help there, and try to generate some type of relationship, through social media, and then follow up. So
that's awesome. I want to touch a little bit on your habit of prayer, because a habit of prayer is of the mind. So basically, and soul, I would say, so basically you're setting yourself up emotionally to have a good day, and to be grateful in many occasions. Our prayers are to be grateful or to ask for guidance.
yes.
So I think that's very important. With working out, it creates energy. Movement creates energy, right? You've heard that, Tony Robbins and stuff like that. So in creating that level of movement in the morning, it really, really helps you guys move forward to doing other things throughout your day. I will tell you, I go to the gym 4 times a week. When I don't go to the gym, I am dragging.
Yeah.
But I've already created a habit. It's been now, I would say, 3 years of doing that. So now that's the feeling, which leads me to time to develop a habit, 18 days to 254 days. Have you guys heard of the 21 day to create a habit myth? So
Yes.
yeah, okay. So that is based on absolutely no research. Okay, just so you guys know.
LOL.
So it really
I think
takes.
that's true for many things.
I know, right? For real. Everybody's putting some numbers out there. I will say it takes about 18 days to 254 days, depending on how daunting or what the results are that I wrote that wrong. The results are that you will receive from your habits. Okay, so you know, 18 days could be something really small. You could, you know, so you wash your hands every single day. In 18 days, you're more than likely to continue to wash your hands every single day after doing it for 18 days straight, right? For the gym, you know, it could take 6 to 7 months to create the habit. The reason being is because you don't really see results until that time frame. It takes time. You might be able to see some results in the process, but you know, some results will motivate you to continue to create the habits. But once you hit the point of like, yeah, this is working out for me, this is what I want, I'm doing this long, and I've created these results, I really don't want to go back, the habit really dials in.
She took it with her.
You know, so
Holy.
what I hear.
Oh, I'm sorry. My dog is panting at me. Let me mute.
No worries. Thanks, Dave. So yeah, so depending on how daunting the habits are will determine how long it could take. Now, you know, in our business, there are a lot of daunting habits or habits that people consider daunting. And I want to focus this on both business and personal because I think they both, like I said before, they both intertwine. But in our business, you know, making phone calls is a daunting habit. Setting yourself up to do this every single day for 1 to 2 hours could be a daunting habit. That is what's usually recommended to do and is recommended to be done in the mornings. In order for you to set up your appointments in the afternoon, et cetera, and be more productive later on, right? But many of us set up the goal to get this done and we don't get there. We don't do it. We'll maybe do an hour here, an hour there, and you know, and not really make it a purpose to create the habit of the making the phone calls, the follow-ups, you know, going to events. Some of you are introverts. I'm an introvert. You know, I'm not, you know, right now I'm doing these things. I would say I'm used to it, but it's been a minute. And David does help in motivating, you know, so the buddy system is really a big deal with creating a habit. But you know, introverts have a very hard time doing these things as well. Okay, so if you understand who you are, you can also learn how to break your habits. You know, it's a matter of repetition. So we'll talk about that a little further. How do you start? What's the biggest point, the biggest thing you can do to start? In my opinion, creating a plan and an environment that supports your plan would be the biggest part of starting a habit. Because you might say, I want to do this, but if you don't create the plan and your environment is not ready for it, you know, we'll go back to the gym because it's just so easy to relate to. You know, you want to start a diet, you have a lot of people in your household. Everybody needs to know you're on this plan. Your environment needs to support your plan. If you're working from home, which a lot of us work from home, it is so important to set the tone that when you're working from home from a certain time to a certain time, that nobody bothers you so that you can be more productive. And set the space. You know, don't set yourself up close to the kitchen. You may not have an option, but if you do, then create a plan, you know, where, you know, and I say the kitchen because oftentimes you might find yourself in the kitchen just looking for food every 2 seconds. Okay, that's not a good environment for either dieting or for being productive, because when you get hungry, you just lose focus. You know, so maybe setting up an hour, you know, a time for you to be able to do these things would be really important. You know, so the point I'm trying to make is set up the environment, because if the environment does not support your plan, then you cannot move forward. And of course, create the plan. Don't just say, I want to do this. Create the plan of whatever it is you want to do. Before I move on to the next stuff, the next numbers here, you know, what are habits that you guys, I would like to know more about you guys. What are habits that you are trying to work on right now and just having such a hard time getting through? Structure? Was that Carlos?
Yes, hey Jen.
Hey, structure. All right. What is it about your structure, Carlos, that is causing you to not create your habit, or you're trying to create the habit of structure and you have other things like getting in the way?
I think just not having the like your time plan throughout the day, or my time plan throughout the day, just wing it, and I get a lot done. Some days more than others, but sometimes, you know, there's things that you know you want to do that you don't. So having those times allotted, I think definitely is helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. So in our
Interestingly,
case-
interestingly enough, what Jen was just saying a moment ago, I don't know if you caught it, but she was saying that, you know, these habits that you create these habits by placing a time slot for them. So
Mhm.
imagine if you took a minute and you just like timed out everything, right? And then created habits with those time frames, then those habits instantly create a structure. The structure creates a successful business creates a bigger bank account, right? Like it just that's the legitimate systemized like organization of it. You can't create good systems and make great money without great habits, you know? And so going back to what Jen said, the only way that you're going to create these habits, dude, is to put a time slot for the habit that you're trying to create, and then commit to yourself. You've heard me say before, when you have a time slot for something and you ignore it, you disrespect yourself, you know. Or if you let somebody else take that time slot away from you, you disrespect yourself. They don't disrespect you because they don't know your time, but you do, you know. So and it's crazy because you gave yourself the answer, right? You're like, damn, I gotta time block and manage my time and put value on the things that I'm doing to create the habits on a daily basis.
So
yeah, I
disrespect.
mean,
I like that. That's good.
time blocking is so important, but you got to respect it first. You know, with regards to structure, I think it's important to think about the pain point too. You know, when you don't have a structure, you're oftentimes finding yourself kind of like shuffling to get things done, you know, at the last minute. And that pain point should be like, damn, I really don't want to feel this way. The other thing is, in order for you to scale, you have to have a system, right? And you know, if you bring somebody in to help you out, what are you going to teach them if you're just winging it, right? So in aspect of scaling, you know, habits are essentially become also our systems, you know, in our business. So, you know, something to really think about, like, can I replicate what I am doing and have somebody else copy and be successful? You know, can I be successful with this system next month? And so yeah, so whatever those habits are, whether, you know, that you're looking to implement, you know, put them down, what you need, and then create your plan and make sure your environment supports your plan as well. Number 2, lean into repetition. So habits are basically repetitive things that you do. Okay, the more you do it, the easier it's going to become. You know, I will say, you know, the gym is definitely one of them for sure. I recall when I started the mortgage industry, where I had to gather specific documents all the time from customers and stuff like that. So I had to create a habit of having an of what was my system, like what was my order, you know. Okay, I get a text message from this customer, I'm going to give them a call. That was a habit that I created. The moment I got that call, I'm going to send them this email, you know. And it was all repetitive and it never changed. And I knew that nobody could question me. Nobody could question my process because I had good habits in my business, you know. So and they were repetitive. You know, the more I did them, the easier it became. At the beginning, it becomes daunting, but eventually it just becomes super easy to do. Make it easy to commit. You know, David loves to create really big goals, and he has really big dreams. And believe it or not, I have big dreams too. You know, he's just very vocal about it. Now, with big dreams, you have to implement certain systems and create certain habits in your life as well, you know, that in process become easy to commit to, and then eventually make you reach the goal that you want, right? So I put it in the last line, I should have put it here, but basically, and I'll just bring it back, you know, the more rewarding a behavior is, the faster the habit is formed. So when we discuss make it easy to commit, is basically not necessarily get away from your goal, keep your main goal, but create these habits that are easy for you to get to that goal so that you can feel the reward every single step of the way, and you can continue to add to it. Okay, focus on getting started instead of the end result. I think a lot of people, when it comes to getting started with a habit, you know, we'll revert back to the gym industry. You know, you say you want to lose some weight, you want to lose 40 pounds, and you're focusing on that, and then you don't get started because it's just so scary. Oh my gosh, I gotta lose 40 pounds. How long is this gonna take? What do I have to do? You know, so you get so focused on the end result that you don't even get started. And basically, this is analysis. What is it? Paralysis by analysis. You know, and a lot of us in our business, we tend to stop doing the right things because we overanalyze them. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about the obstacles, because the obstacles are one of the biggest reasons why we do not reach our goals, you know. And these obstacles are not seeing the main ones are not seeing results and life getting in the way. Okay, Carlos, with what you mentioned to me, basically sounds to me like life is getting in the way. You're winging it, you're doing certain things, your life is getting in the way. Am I wrong?
Yeah, in a way. I mean, sometimes, you know, I see it as like an adventure. Every day I wake up and don't know what's, you know.
It's like a box of chocolates. You just don't know what you're gonna get.
You never know.
All right. You know, so I could see that. I could see that as exciting. You know, definitely I will say when you take action on certain things that just show up, it's also important to do so, right? But have a plan B. Have a plan B to ensure that your systems do not get missed. And not seeing results is a really big one. When making phone calls or door knocking, like we've been with our team door knocking a couple times in the last 2 weeks, and in door knocking, these could be either the fastest results you can get or the slowest results you can get. And when you're door knocking in the heat of Florida, it is a terrible feeling to do this, but it has to get done, right? So, but when you're doing it and you don't get the results, the next week you're like, oh my gosh, do I even really want to do that? You know, but it's a matter of, you know, just putting that aside. They say, if you feel like you don't want to do it, that's when you have to do it the most. So, you know, I really thinking about that and understanding that not seeing results doesn't mean that you should stop. You know, you have to create the habit of repetition with everything that you do, again, following your plan. Okay. Breaking bad habits. So the biggest thing here is when you're creating new habits, you're also breaking bad habits. And the way you break bad habits is through motivation. You know, what is your biggest reason for breaking that bad habit? You know, the bad habit of waking up late. One of the biggest reasons for waking up late is because you really love how it feels to sleep, you know, and you're resting and nobody's bothering you and it feels great. And as much as that feels like a reward, it affects your other goal. And therefore you have to change your motivation to this, you know, and when your motivation to waking up early would be, if I wake up early, I can get more things done and I can have the rest of the day to spend with my family. And I don't have to scramble at the last minute to try to figure out things really late at night. Right. So, you know, motivation, like really finding your why is something we talk about often at the Freedom Organization, because, and honestly, every coach will talk about that. We look at your why more in a form of like, what creates your freedom in a more personal level, not necessarily always financial. It depends on the person, but the motivation that you have to do anything would be related to your why. And therefore you have to think about, what are you doing on a daily basis that is creating movement towards your goal. And if something in there in your day is affecting that, you have to remove that. You have to be motivated enough to get to that goal to feel like you have to remove that bad habit. And that's the first, it's mental. Then after that, when you start implementing it, it's going to be the reward. What are you going to get? What is your goal in doing it, which we just spoke about, right? Your feelings, now the reward. What are you going to get out of doing this? Right. Accountability or buddy system would be another way of breaking bad habits. I had mentioned that earlier. We're all different people. Do not connect with somebody who's exactly like you. You need somebody who is able to push you, to put you in the right mindset, to shake you from these moments of negativity that you might have, or that hold you back, or the overanalyzing, etc. You know, I will say that although I might be an introvert, there are parts in me that likes to be an extrovert and likes to help other people and doesn't mind speaking to people in public and stuff like that. So David really pushes that, you know, and puts me in the setting to be able to do that. And then once I'm in there, then I get it done and it's fine. But I wouldn't set myself into that. So, you know, think about that. You know, in reverse, I think about all the details. So therefore, the details that David misses, I would, you know, I help him create the habits of like, okay, did you do this, or was it, you know, this is missing, or this person needs your help with this. You know, maybe you should give them a call. You know, and it's something to talk about. Having a buddy to help you with your habits is so important in many occasions. Not everybody needs it, but it could be very useful. Practicing mindfulness. Right now, we live in a world of social media, and therefore all of our world revolves around looking at our phones. And oftentimes we find ourselves being on our phones, not listening to the person we're talking to, or who's sitting in front of us, not paying attention to our surroundings in a vehicle. We had an incident yesterday with that. You know, just being mindful about your surroundings and where you are and what you're doing really helps you kind of develop better habits. Because at this point, you know, if you say that you want to start, I don't know, door knocking, and you're on your phone the whole day and you don't plan it out, and you don't take a moment to really think about what's going on around you, it might be a rainy day that day. And you just said, oh, I'm going to do door knocking today, but yet now you're going to be unsuccessful. You're not going to be able to create that habit today because you didn't plan accordingly and you weren't mindful of your surroundings or the weather or whatever the case may be. Same thing with, you know, in the mornings, you can have distractions working from home with your family. You know, being mindful of your time is important. So taking a moment and really thinking about what you're doing when you're not being productive and where you're not attaining the habits that you're aiming for your success, right? Creating realistic gains. We spoke about that a little bit. That really helps in creating better habits. When you create habits that are bad, that basically, you know, you've already done before. Oh, my habit this week is going to be, I'm going to make, you know, 2 hours of phone calls every single day. And you don't ever do it, and every time you set it up, you never actually do it, then you need to do something more realistic so that you can at least gain some reward from what you are trying to do, and then you can implement more. It's called the compound effect. You know, I don't know if you guys have read that book, but in that version of what I just said right now, it's almost a compound effect process where you just start with a little bit and then you just start adding more because you created a certain level of habit. Okay. And like I mentioned, the more rewarding a behavior is, the faster the habit is formed. All right, so this is it for my presentation. I would like to hear some of you guys' takeaways and what you guys would, you know, or what are your plans? What after this presentation, what is a habit that you have or that you want to implement? What are your obstacles and what is your plan? Let me get out of
I guess I'll go first.
here. Thank you. Some brave people. I know it's hard. I know it's hard. Oh, go ahead.
I'm going through a transition in my business.
Mhm.
I had an assistant, full-time assistant for the past 6 years, but she's decided to pursue a career in nursing. And
Oh, wow.
so I decided to close my office. It was just, I've dabbled with other agents and they've never really succeeded. And with the impending changes in our market, I felt that it was prudent to reduce my expenses. So the timing was right. So I've come back to working from my home office, and I'm going to have to create a whole new set of habits for how to handle my day, because I come from corporate America and I was accustomed to having a clear break between being at work and being at home.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons I think why I rented an office space and just had my own branch office with LPT, is because I like that clear break.
Yeah.
Not that I won't work from home, but I preferred to have a more distinct separation. So now I've got to structure my day to where I think I get my personal things done, so that when I start my work, I'm not jumping between work and personal. You know, like when I left home and went to the office, I was at work. It was pretty clear what mode I needed to be in. But right now, and this has only been 2 weeks, so right now, you know, it's you start. I start and I'm checking emails, and then I stop to walk the dogs, and then I come back and I check some more emails, and then when the dogs cool off, I feed the dogs, and you know, it's like I'm bouncing back and forth. So I know I need to structure my day.
Yeah.
I just have to figure out how to best use it, and there may be advantages to it, because I mean, obviously I'm not commuting back and forth to an office, and you know, maybe it is prudent to have blocks of work time in between personal things that I need to take care of, instead of having to stack all the personal things up in the morning before I left. But I've got to figure it out, because it's
Yeah.
going to be a new set of habits. Go ahead.
I'll jump in, Dave, if you don't mind. So I'll give you a couple tips that I was given. You know, we work from a home office as well. I think one of the most important things is to give yourself the mentality that you're at work the second you walk into your office or your home office. And some of the ways that you could do that is actually like when you wake up in the morning and you used to go to the office, you would take a shower, you get dressed, spritz on some cologne, grab your bag and head out the door. But now you've got to do the same thing. So a lot of people make the mistake of like waking up, throwing on a pair of shorts, a t-shirt, you know, headed to the office because they're home. And one of the things that I do every single morning is I take a shower, get dressed, sneakers on, you know, everything, spritz on some cologne. And my office is 5 feet from my bedroom, you know, so, you know, and I walk into that office, I'm at work. Second thing I'll tell you is set clear boundaries in the house. I don't know what your house is like, but I have a full house. And so I let people know when I'm in my office, I'm at work. So you can't come hang out with me. You know, no, I can't move something in the kitchen for you. Pretend I left to the office, you know?
Yeah. I'm fortunate in that regard. It's just me and my wife, and she works full time. So I don't have that interruption.
Okay.
That part's easy.
So you don't have that one. Yeah.
No.
And then the next thing I would say is I got a piece of advice a while back, and this particular piece of advice is much easier to do when you're home. And he would say, this advice that I got was from a mentor of mine. He said, work 50 minutes, take a 10-minute break. And you know, when you're in the office, you could work hours without taking a break. You'll skip lunch without even knowing, you know, sometimes. Yeah. And but when you're home, it's much easier to go, okay, I'm going to work 50 minutes and I'm going to take 10 minutes and go walk the dog. And then I'm going to work another 50 minutes and I'm going to come back out and, you know, grab something to drink from the kitchen and, you know, I don't know, call my wife and check on her. And then I'm going to work another 50. It's so much easier to do it from work. And believe it or not, that piece of advice has made me way more productive.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because my Apple Watch tells me at the 50-minute mark, time to stand. You know, so it's almost like the break is
Yeah.
prompted anyway. I'll get the message on the watch, and that's a good
Yeah.
time to. Yeah, no, you're probably right, because I find that in the past I would work long but not effective. You know,
Right.
I would just
Right.
be kind of grinding it out and not getting anything done, but also not having any fun for myself. You know, it's like I'm at work, I'm in work mode, but I'm not producing, and producing is really the only thing that matters.
Right.
It is, but you know, you also have to keep in mind that you don't have to do these activities the entire day. Like it really, you do money making activities for a certain period of time, and as long as you allocate that time and it works out, then you can start developing a busier day where, you know, okay, I did this for this short period of time, these 2 hours, and I was able to set up these couple meetings, and then you start getting busy, and then you start leaving the house.
Yeah.
You know, and so it really isn't to, you know, to set up your day where you're completely disregarding the rest of your life. You know, it's what are the important habits, and just implement them throughout the day and ensure you check them off and you complete them, you know, and within those habits also create personal habits that give you a little bit more motivation and goals and like push to move forward, you know, and do more of that. You know, your dogs are important.
Yeah, I'm reverting to I used to be in a coaching group called the Core, and we had a daily, I forget what they called it, but like a success tracker. And you know, you track how many conversations, not just outbound calls, how many face-to-face meetings, that sort of thing, and you would log them all on there. And the good part about it is you could look at it at the end of the day, and you know, even if I didn't sell something, it'd be like, I've done the right steps. I've talked to 6 people today. I've met with 2. You know, I've shown 4 houses. I've had a productive day. It's gonna come. It's just a question of continuing it. So I find that if I do it in writing, it's more gratifying, and I feel like I was productive. I feel like I did something. As opposed to, you know, like we were just talking, like, you know, you're kind of flying blind, and your day pass, because it's going to pass, whether you're active or not, your day is going to pass, and the day is done, and it's like, well, I either feel like I feel happy with myself, or I feel frustrated. It's going to be one of the two, and I'm trying to get myself in a mode where when it's time to call it, you know, when the evening is here and it's done, do I feel like I achieved something today? And that's a transition for me, because in the past I felt like I went to work. Now I have to feel like I have done work. You know, I've been productive.
Yeah, just because you went to work didn't mean necessarily that you were the most productive either, but it was a mental habit that you
not
were
at all.
Work
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, it was. You know, it was. There's been a lot of days I've gotten nothing done. You know, and the time has passed, and nothing has been accomplished. And there's other days that, you know, you make 2 or 3 good phone calls, and you really don't need to do anything more. You're set. You've got some good appointments 100%. Set. You've had, you know, and maybe that's a good time to take a break. You know, maybe I haven't been to a movie in a cinema in 15 years. Maybe that's the day I go watch a movie. You know, I don't know. There's other options.
No, you're on, Dave. You're so on track there, because a lot of people feel like if I don't put in an 8 to 12 hour day, then I'm not a true entrepreneur, and that's ridiculous, right? Like, if you know exactly what needs to be done that day and you find success in that day, like for instance, if I know I want to make $100,000 and I retract that back, and that means that I have to have 2 listing appointments this week, and it's Tuesday, and I got my 2 listing appointments, I've got 2 choices. I can go get 2 more, or I can take a minute, go to a movie theater, and then come back. I hit my goals. I did what I was supposed to do. I am successful. I'm hitting my mark. I got 2 choices. I can push and continue, or what most people do is they'll go, well, I hit my 2 mark. They'll find things to do. Right.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I tell folks all the time, it's okay to take a minute, go watch a movie. I do it sometimes. People think I don't.
Sometimes you're better afterwards, you know, instead of just slugging away.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
tell
I mean,
my
many
wife
of us
sometimes
fall
it's a
into
Tuesday.
What's that?
Sometimes we catch a Tuesday matinee. Why not? You know?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say we catch ourselves and we get into this trap of wanting to be busy, but busy doesn't mean productive. And I think the goal is to create that plan, of productivity, like you said, Dave. And honestly, the success tracker, such a great way, because like we spoke about habits and finding the reward. That's how you find your reward, because you might not see the results right away monetarily, but you're in a way accounting for the results of your day, and then the next day you have another one. And once you start, once it all lines up to what your actual goal is, then you continue to do it with absolutely no problem. But don't, you can't also feel so hard on yourself because you took a moment to walk your dog. As long as you said your goal is this and this for this day and you met that goal, then that's what matters.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah,
Jenny,
I know the steps. I have to clarify them for myself, and what does a good day look like for me?
yeah, create your
It's
plan.
different for everybody.
100%. Yeah, create your
Cool.
plan, for sure.
Well, let somebody else go.
Yeah,
hog
thank
all
you,
the time.
Dave. Thank you so much. No, this was great. Janice, she said, I think her cleaning lady is vacuuming, so she can't unmute herself, but she wrote, I will commit to exercising at least 3 times per week, send a weekly email to my database, and tour homes at least once per week to create content. This is great, Janice. You definitely have a goal of what it is that you're trying to do. I will say, set the plan, set your environment. Don't forget to do that. Like, for example, send a weekly email to my database. Well, is your database set up? Did you have everybody set up with all of their emails? Are they divided into, who's your Power 8 and who are your past clients and this and that, and or if it's a general one, well, do you at least have everybody there and all of their emails, or a system to be able to do that? As long as you have that, then okay, what's my email going to look like every single week? Don't get too crazy. You can have one system and then just implement new things every single week. And exercising at least 3 times a week. Well, if you haven't been doing it for a long time, you set up your environment to get there by, for example, I have friends that have an issue with working out because they're in a lot of pain. So I tell them start walking for a certain period of time, those 3 times a week, do something that you can commit to for sure. And then after that, start running, or, and then after that, start lifting weights. So, adding incremental parts to your progress is important to create that habit. And once you have reached certain level of habit, then you can add a little bit more of an intense process to that. And Janice, I'm just speaking openly. I really don't know where you are in either one of these things, but just to kind of help everybody as well get an idea of what they can do. So I hope that was helpful for you and everybody else. Anybody else want to chime in before we finish off? Got a couple more minutes.
Yeah, Janice, I want to say something to that too. I was listening to her speak earlier, and she said that, she when she said what she does in the morning, and she sounded super committed when she said, prayer, and super committed when she said, doing her thing. And then she said, and then I'll try to work out. That's that verbiage right there. Or if I can, I'll get a workout in. That verbiage, that communication needs to go. You need to sound just as committed to get your three workouts in as committed as you pray on a daily basis.
Hey, Jenny Gomez is in the house.
Whoop, whoop.
We're about
All right,
to
guys, I'm gonna jump
end
off
this
this meeting.
call. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. I want you guys to remember that we are the Freedom Organization. We have an academy, as an educational academy, where you can find many videos on how to develop a team, how to grow your business, how to do marketing, how to understand social media, etc. And I'm going to put the website on the chat so that you guys can check it out. And take a look at that if you guys need additional assistance. And again, thank you for today. You guys have a freedom day and enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you guys next week or in 2 weeks. I guess we're doing this every 2 weeks. Thank you guys. Have a great day.